Well, hello and welcome, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Cut the Cord Lunch and Learn series. Every Wednesday at noon, a new Cut the Cord Lunch and Learn series will release. Hello, Joanna. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you, Cedric?
I am always doing great. I absolutely love Wednesdays and love when we get ready to do Cut the Cord Lunch and Learn series.
Absolutely. I love it too. I was so looking forward to this day.
Awesome. So make sure you're ready, folks, to cut the cord today. I want to make sure that you understand what cut the cord is, because sometimes people ask, what is cut the cord? See, it's a 30-minute training that airs on our Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and LinkedIn pages, and it's going to help you elevate your mindset. It's going to help you set new goals. It's going to help make you get outside your comfort zone, and comfort zone is no place to be, right, Joanna?
That's right.
So what it's going to do, it's going to help you start saying things like, I am already good enough. I earned it. I am smart enough to do this. I am because I am. Now, it's also going to make you start getting what we call the it factor. See, the it factor is those things that what happens is you start visualizing it, you start praying about it, you start planning it, working it, living it, and then all of a sudden, boom, you start doing it, and you won't give up on it. And that's what we like about Cut the Cord Lunch and Learn series. There was a man that started a company, Joanna, and he built it into this large enterprise, and he was planning to hand over the reins to his son one day whenever he decided to retire. Well, one day he was walking through the factory and he observed his son angrily berating an employee in front of the other employees. Now he looked at his son and he motioned his son, "Hey, come over to my office. I want to talk to you." And he said, "David, here we are again." He said, "I wear two hats around here, and I need you to understand this. I am the boss and I am your father." He says, "Now, right now, I'm going to put on my boss hat." He says, "I want you to know you're fired.
Oh,
You are done here." He goes, "I will not have that kind of behavior in my company, and we will not tolerate employees being treated that way." He says, "I've already warned you about this several times before, but you continue to do it." He says, "So I have to let you go." Then he said, "Now I'm going to put on my father hat." After a few moments pause, he continued. He said, "Son, now I've heard you lost your job. How can I help you?"
I love it.
See, emotionally strong people, emotionally strong leaders have honor their relationships while at the same time honoring, while at the same time guarding against letting others control them, others lose control of their emotions, especially in difficult relationships. Now, lately, it seems as though people are dividing themselves into categories, drawing lines between themselves and others that are increasingly harder to cross. See, all over the world, Joanna, we are now defined largely by what separates us. See, as a leader, this makes a challenging culture to navigate, right? It makes it very, very challenging for a culture to navigate. One of the biggest responsibilities we have is to bring people together to get our teams aligned around a common vision and a common goal. You understand what I'm saying, Joanna?
I certainly do. Yes.
See, if leaders are tasked with finding what unites people in order to get things done, then what happens when the focus is on what makes us different?
Yeah. That's a great way to put it out there, Cedric. I love that. And I love that story about the father and the boss.
Hey.
Talk about compartmentalize your emotions and your feelings, right? I absolutely love that.
Yes.
Awesome. So how do we lead in polarized times? That's the question, right? Well, there are 5 practices that leaders must embrace in order to bring people together. Now, if you're ready, because we're going to give you some good stuff. We're about to give you some really good stuff. So if you're ready, if you have your pen and paper and you're ready to take some notes, just go ahead and write in the comments, I am ready. I am ready. All right. So here's number one.
Well, I'm gonna put mine first. I am ready.
Please do. Awesome. Well, number one, it's clarity. You see, a leader who cannot be clear, it's a leader that cannot bring a group of people into functioning team. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. See, before you can lead others, you must be clear about your values and your vision. You see, because they are the foundation for your leadership. Your values and your vision will be your foundation in your leadership. Okay? So values do matter. They matter because, they determine your integrity. And good values, they produce thoughts, words, and deeds that are in alignment. And I love that word alignment. That. Right? It's all about internal alignment, right? Alignment. So, and that creates trust. That creates the trust for those that will follow you. And so a clear vision points everyone in the same direction. Let me say that again, because maybe you didn't get that. Clear vision points everyone in the same direction. And so when you know what you stand for and where you're going, you have a greater chance to rally people to your side. Cedric, I see this like, people that really follow you because they want to, not because they have to. Mm-hmm. And so, having a clear vision and knowing what you want to do, it just attracts people like a magnet, right?
Yes, absolutely.
What is number two, Cedric?
Yes, number two is all about connection. You see, connection is the key to everything, right? You got to connect with people in order to make things work, right? See, connection. Are you connected with your people? Are you connected with your people? That's the question we have for you today, right? Do you know them? Do you spend time trying to figure out where they are? See, a leader who assumes that because people show up in the office, Joanna, they must be on the same page as you is a leader who won't be leading very long. You see, you must go after your people. You can't expect them to come to you. See, in a world filled with constant messages and things, you can't expect your words to naturally filter their way into the hearts and minds of your team. You have to go after them. Mm-hmm. See, that means that being intentional about getting to know them. I'm going to say that again, getting intentional to getting to know them. See, if you're not naturally gifted at connecting with others, there are two practices that you can start tomorrow. They're very easy. Two practices that you can start tomorrow that will do more to connect you to your team than anything else. The first one is ask them questions. Ask them questions instead of telling. Okay?
Love that.
Now, the second one, Joanna, is very hard for a lot of leaders. Then, after you ask them a question, listen to their answers.
Right.
Exactly. Ask them a question and then listen. 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 Now let's go on to number three, Joanna, because I'm going to get caught up right there because a lot of people don't listen.
Ask a question, close your mouth, and open your ears.
Exactly.
All right. I love that. Number three, Cedric, is compassion. You see, one of the greatest contributors to a polarized culture, it's the inability or unwillingness to think about the other's point of view, of the other people's point of view. Mm-hmm. And so it is a trap that many, many people fall into. And here's the thing, as leaders, we have to show the way that we want others to go. We just have to show. There's a lot of people that They just need the direction. They need a lot of hand holding, right? And we know that.
Right.
So that means demonstrating compassion when necessary. And so I'm not just talking about having empathy for someone going through a hard time, but I'm talking about us as leaders being willing to set aside our own desires to think through an issue from someone else's perspective. Now, you see the difference? You're putting the other people's perspective first before you really get like caught up and this is the way I want it. And so call it humility or empathy or whatever else you want to call it, right? But we lead others when we lead others well. When for us to lead others well, we need to take the time to consider life through their eyes. I'm going to say that again, Cedric, because I got a little bit caught up there, and I want to make sure people really get that part. I'm just getting that energy from you. You see, to lead others well, you need to take the time to consider life through their eyes. Now, that right there, it's a very, very a true quality of a great leader. Now, combine that with asking the questions that you were mentioning in the previous point. Good leaders ask great questions, and then putting yourself in the shoes of that person, or, trying to understand their perspective. That right there, I think that's the recipe for success in your leadership. Don't you think that, Cedric?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And, compassion is something that you just have to have, right? See, Mahatma Gandhi spoke to Parliament for 2 hours without notes one time. Now, that's a long time to speak without notes, right? But afterwards, a reporter asked Gandhi's assistant, how could he speak for so long without notes? Well, the assistant replied like this. She says, see, you don't understand Gandhi. You see, what he thinks is what he feels. What he feels is what he says, and what he says is what he does. So what Gandhi feels, what he thinks, what he says, and what he does are all the same. So he does not need notes.
I love
That's compassion, folks, right? See, when values, when thoughts, feelings, and actions are all in internal alignment,
that's it.
A person becomes focused and his character is strengthened. See, this allows a leader to lead himself successfully along with his team. That internal alignment word is coming up a lot today.
That it's internal. That's all you need, Cedric. That's all you need to develop yourself as a great leader, and to also have to also embrace personal development in your life. That's exactly why I name my business Internal Alignment, because of that, because what you just mentioned about Gandhi. And I love that. Internal alignment. That's all you need. Your thoughts, your words, your feelings, and your actions to be in alignment.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. And number 4 is candor. See, leading in polarized times requires candor. While compassion helps a leader understand his or her people, candor is what allows a leader to do what's best for the team. See, sometimes you have to just tell your people like it is. You just have to tell it like the TI is. You understand what I'm saying? See, while some people would argue that telling it like it is contributes to a polarized society, leaders cannot lead well if they can't or won't speak the truth to their team. I'm going to say that again. While some people believe that telling it like it is contributes to a polarized society, leaders cannot lead well if they can't or won't speak the truth to their team. See, it's your candor. It's when your candor is uncoupled from compassion that can make things go wrong. Okay. See, a hard truth spoken with genuine concern and understanding is how leaders build trust. This is how trust builds a team. You see? So if my team will understand, your team will understand if you are genuine, if you're compassionate, if you are understanding. They will understand if you tell them the hard truth. You see, but it's when you're not willing to be genuine. It's when you're not willing to have an integrity with them. It's when you're not willing to fill in all the gaps. When you leave things out of your message and think that people can't read between the lines, that's when you're fooling yourself and you're fooling the people.
Absolutely.
You see, Joanna, one time there was this executive that came up after a session and they said, look, I agree with that a little bit, but I don't want to always, I don't like to share some things about myself because I don't want the people to think that I'm weak. Now, you see, what I always do internally, not outside, not outwardly, Joanna, but internally, I'm always laughing at that leader when that happens. You see, I want to laugh at them when they tell me that, because here's the thing. What I told them, I said, look, you're under the assumption that nobody thinks you're weak. The only person that believes that,
it's you.
They already know. They've already talked about it. So they know you're living in a dream world. So you might as well be compassionate and have candor with your people, because then they will trust you. Then they will follow you. Then you can go to a whole nother level with them. Right, Joanna?
That's right.
It's amazing.
That is so true. I love it. Awesome. Well, number 5. Are you ready for number 5, Cedric?
I was born ready for it.
All right. Number 5 is courage. You see, sometimes as leaders,
wait, did you say courage or porridge?
Stop. Courage.
Okay. All right. I'm just asking.
Courage. Courage.
Okay, I was like, is she reading a story time book to her daughter or something?
Stop making fun of me, Cedric. All right, courage. All right, so here we go. You see, sometimes Cedric, a leader has to step into the middle of something in order to bring people together. You see, that's the idea behind what some CEOs call it, the CEO corner. And let me talk a little bit about this, the CEO corner, and this idea, right? This is how some CEOs do it. So once every few months, the CEOs, they call for an entire company to get together. And this is a voluntary gathering. And usually, and here's the fun part and the good stuff. Usually the CEO, brings in a nice lunch for everybody. And they put everybody in the company together for this gathering to have lunch. And then they make... to make it even better, once everyone has gotten their plates and they're, just mingling and talking to each other, the leader, okay, so listen to this, because I really want you to maybe implement this in your organization. This might work, right? This is all about diversity and inclusion and giving people the opportunity to speak up and say and give their perspective on some issues, right? Mm-hmm. And so after everybody has their plate, the leader or the CEO, the person who's leading this, intentionally brings a topic of conversation to the room with the purpose of listening to the team wrestle with the answers. Now, here's the listening thing again, right? Mm-hmm. We want to listen. Yeah. We want to ask the question, and listen. Now, here's the thing. The topics should be like hot topics. Those issues that people are already discussing and talking about it among themselves, maybe talking about it in the water cooler. You see, those are the topics that need to be brought up in those meetings, in those gatherings. And so, so think about that for a moment, right? Mm-hmm. And you see, when you have a diverse team, and you do this kind of things for your people, that diversity, it's going to be reflected in the answers of all the people. Mm-hmm. And in the perspective that come to light during those lunches. Yeah, absolutely. And so think about that for a moment and try that in your organization, because, especially these days, right, Cedric, there's so much. Almost every organization is talking about diversity and inclusion and really wanting to have diversity and inclusion as a culture in their company. But a lot of a lot of employees, they don't even really know. They think diversity and inclusion, it's all about racism, or like that's the
They see
conversation,
it as
and
a
that's what
black and
people
white.
think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and so when we think about diversity and inclusion, it's about everything. It's gender. It's about different backgrounds, how people everybody see their world in a completely different way, and so that's the whole diversity and inclusion culture that companies should be bringing to their organizations, because it includes everything. You see, on next Monday is going to be International Women's Day. That's part of diversity and inclusion, celebrating women and really making a big deal about it, because it is a big deal. And so I absolutely love that, Cedric. And I hope some people really implement that. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
absolutely. No, you're spot on. You're absolutely right about that. Diversity and inclusion is more than just race. It's about, see, a lot of people, we all have our own unconscious biases, right? So I'm looking at your hair and I'm looking at your bun, right? When I look at your hair and your bun, let me just say it looks nice, right? But when I look at
Thank
it,
you.
I have a certain bias, that something that comes to my mind when I see it, right? And when someone else looks at it, they have another type of bias, right? Some people will look at me and they'll see a short bald head guy, right? And they have a certain bias about short bald head guys, bald guys, right? You may have a bias about someone's height, someone's eyes, the way they speak, right? All of these things are what we call unconscious biases, right? And some of them are conscious biases, but quite frankly, we have to learn and understand about those things. All of those things is really what makes the world go around. All the differences that we have is really what makes the difference in the world and make us better. The CEO has to be careful never to put his opinion into the mix when he gets together with the CEO corner that Joanna was talking about, right? Preferring to instead just listen and learn. Just like this is a lunch and learn, listen and learn. You see, it's a courageous move on the CEO's part. And you don't have to be the CEO to do this. This could be in your department. This could be in your division. We're just calling it the CEO's corner, okay? But it's a courageous move on his or her part and on the part of the team to deliberately address issues that sometimes divide us. It's risky, but it helps create a safer culture for our people that not only gets them to know their coworkers better, but they are reminded that not everyone who thinks differently from them is wrong, right? And you have to remember that we all have a different opinion about something. When we can talk about it respectfully, with integrity, and with honesty, then we can make a difference. Then we can make an impact. See, sometimes the perspective they think is dead wrong belongs to a coworker that they dearly love, right? That tension can prompt healthy growth when it's done and handled the right way. See, leadership in polarized times means being willing to pull our people together, even when the world around us would rather pull us apart. See, it's difficult and sometimes unpleasant, but that's the reality of what we deal with. That's the reality of the situation. And we, as leaders, we have to make sure that we get our hands around the hard stuff. Because if we don't, no one else will. And no one else wants to handle those things. So the leader has to be willing to do this. Then we were talking earlier about connection, right, Joanna? Well, it reminded me of the law of connection, right? In the book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, which says leaders touch the heart before they ask for the hand. See, the heart comes first, and you must connect at an emotional level with people. See, if you don't connect with people at an emotional level, all bets are off.
You got to connect, right, Cedric?
Absolutely. It's all about connecting, right? The heart has to come first. You've heard it before. Nobody cares how much you know until they know how much you care. See, we can't lead others to places we've never been ourselves. So you have to be willing. Hello. You have to be willing to, you have to be willing to, well, we have to just stop. How are you doing?
Say hello to Cedric.
Hi.
Hello. How are you doing today?
Good.
Well, I can see you looking all beautiful. Your hair's audience. I want to just say hello to little Miss Rincon here.
This is Aliana. Say hello to everybody. Say hello. There's a lot of people watching you.
See, folks?
That's what happened when we do a live show and you're a mommy and you're trying to be an entrepreneur and all these amazing things, right? I love it.
Absolutely. But you see, we stopped and it's here. We demonstrated what we're talking about. Leaders touch the heart before they ask for the hand. When this beautiful little girl came in the camera, we had to stop and say hello, right? So, see, you can't take people to places that you've never been yourself. You got to know where your giftedness is, know where your passion is. And then here's what I want you to understand. What things would you do without pay? That's where your passion is. What would you do without pay? That's where your passion is. What makes you laugh? What makes you cry? What do you dream about? That's where your passion is. And when you think about those things, I'm going to bring it right back around to connection. When you think about all those things, this is what helps you better understand how to connect with people, how to lead people in polarized times. You got to live through your giftedness and live with your enthusiasm to help lead people in polarized times. See, true success is living on purpose with passion through a plan. I'm going to say that again. It's called 3 P's, right? True success is living on purpose with passion through a plan.
I love that.
See, managers treat everyone the same, but true leaders, and if you're a true leader out there, I want you to hear me. True leaders will treat everyone based on their dreams and their desires. You got to find where they are and connect with them where they are.
I love
how
that.
you lead with people through polarized times. What'd you say, Joanna?
I love that. That's so good. You see, and people know when you're really being genuine and you really care about them, and it's just beautiful. I remember, Cedric, when I lived in New York, and there was this general manager at the property in New York where I used to work, and he will always say, Joanna, connect with the guests. It's all about connection. You always used to do this. It's all about connection. When you connect with people and you find that common ground and you really connect with them, that will have an impact on them that will last forever, and that will really help us have those guests come back every time. And that's what used to happen, especially when you work in places like that where it's like beautiful buildings and all this glamorous thing. Most of the time the people come back because of the people that work there and the connection and how you go above and beyond, and you really exceed their expectation. And that's what we're talking about here, ladies and gentlemen, exceeding the expectations of your team and connecting with them.
Yes. And let me tell you what, folks, regardless of your political party, I want you to understand this, because we're not going to talk politics, but I want you to understand this. If you go back to the after the 9/11 attacks on New York City, President George W. Bush went to ground zero and he connected with the people in New York. He showed them how much he cared. And he was connecting. I mean, just think about the words he shared and said when he grabbed that megaphone and he let the world know that we are the United States of America and we're coming for you. He connected with the people where they were in that moment, and he drew them closer to him. You see, that's what you have to do as a leader. So you can't run from it. So that means you must run to it with clarity, with connection, with practice, with candor, and with courage.
Oh,
Woo! Now the
yeah.
question is, will you do that?
That was good.
They got
I
me
love it.
excited in here today, Joanna. Got
Yes.
me, I'm all shook up right now.
This is a great topic. I absolutely love it. And we hope that you loved it too. And we hope that, hopefully there was something that you got out of this lesson, and some of the things that we mentioned today really make you think about how you're leading others and how you're really impacting your team. And so thank you so much for tuning in to another Cut the Core Lunch and Learn series. We really appreciate you. And our goal here, right, Cedric? Our goal is to help you and your teams to go to a higher level. And we want to hear from you, because that's the only way we can do that. If we hear from you and you tell us how we're doing and how we can better serve you and your teams. And let us know also, what is your team struggling with? Maybe it's communication, maybe it's teamwork, collaboration, or creativity, or maybe being authentic. We really gave you some good stuff to put all that into motion and bring that into your company. Get your people to be more authentic. There's some really good stuff that we just gave you, but we can come to your company and do and talk to them, right? And do this for them in a one-on-one setting virtually. So that's what we want. We want to bring that to you. And so send us a message and put on the subject line, Cut the Cord. And we're going to put the emails in the comments. And we hope you have a great rest of your day. We're going to get out of your way so you can enjoy the rest of your lunch, or you continue to work. And Cedric, this has been a great show. I can't wait to see you again next week.
Absolutely. I will be here next Wednesday. I can never miss this show, folks. Just remember to connect with your people with clarity, with connection, with compassion, with candor, and with courage. And it'll make a difference in the world. Thank you.